I hope you guys are doing well. This will be the ending of your history book today. We're going to finish it. And then you are going to be watching 2 things on YouTube after you watch me. And that will be the whole history book. There's going to be other things you're going to be doing. You're going to be taking a test, of course, on this chapter. So please study for that. And you're going to be looking at a video that shows you pictures from the funeral procession of Abraham Lincoln, as well as listening to someone read the Gettysburg Address for you. It is not Abraham Lincoln. Okay, they did not have recording devices in his day, and so it is not his voice. It is his speech, but it's not his voice. So please be aware of that. There was no such thing as recorders to hear people's voices or record the face. I mean, this is like when they had just invented cameras. So the voice thing isn't going to come for a long time, like 60 years about. Okay. All right. So with Abraham Lincoln being assassinated, the reunification that he hoped for did not go as planned. With him being assassinated, the people of the North were very, very angry with the people of the South. They were so angry because they felt, even though it was, just these few people that were together conspiring, that the South had killed their president. So they were very upset about that. So they decided they wanted the South to pay. They wanted to punish the South. They wanted the South to have great and mighty consequences. So I'll give you an example of some of the consequences. So they ended up charging the South plantation owners super big taxes. So the taxes were so big that a lot of plantation owners lost their plantation. So people from the North that had money, rich people, they went down to the South and they started buying up these places, and they were called carpetbaggers. And carpetbaggers were looked very down upon by people in the South, as well as some people in the North. So it was not the greatest thing. Robert E. Lee actually lost all of his land except his house. So he got to keep his house, but he lost all of his land. His land is now part of Washington, D.C., well, Arlington. So his land was used as a cemetery, and the cemetery is still there today, and it's called Arlington National Cemetery. People are still buried there today. But that all used to be Robert E. Lee's land, and they took that from him as like a penalty for rebelling against the Union. Abraham Lincoln did not want them punished. Abraham Lincoln did not want bitterness or anger between the North and the South. He wanted everybody to just come together and be one big happy family again, which did not happen because of the assassination. Okay. Yes, it was very sad. John Wilkes Booth really made a huge mistake by assassinating the president. If he wanted things to be good for the South, that didn't happen. So the vice president took over. His name was Andrew Johnson. Again, remember, he was supposed to be assassinated, but he wasn't. But he does get impeached twice because some of the laws that the Northern congressmen make against the South, Andrew Jackson feels are unfair. So what he actually does is he actually tells the South not to obey the laws. And that's why he gets impeached, because he is the executive branch. He is in charge of the executive branch. He's supposed to enforce the laws. That's the whole point of the executive branch, right? So he's telling them not to follow the law. That's against the law. And so he was impeached 2 times. Both times when it went to the Senate by 1 vote said, nah, he's not guilty. All right, so remember, we had the impeachment of Donald Trump. it went to the Senate, and the Senate found him not guilty as well. So then nothing really happens. You just stay in office and you keep going. So that happened to President Johnson 2 times. Okay, not a happy time. Both sides were super angry with each other. I mean, just think about it. Some guy shows up at your house and takes everything from you because you can't pay the taxes, and he can. And that happened. Um, and the northern people were very angry with the southerners because they had seceded. And in the seceding, a lot of their men had been killed or wounded. And so they were very mad about that. The South was mad about Sherman marching from Atlanta to the sea and then up into the Carolinas. And so that was an issue too. And actually, even to this day, there is some animosity between Northerners and Southerners, especially in the South. There's still parts of the South that are very upset still today about the Civil War. And the Civil War ended in 1865. But, you know, it was a tough thing for this country, and it changed it culturally. It changed it in many ways, and so we still have the issue. Northerners tend to be, not all, but as a general rule, Northern people tend to be a bit prejudiced against Southern people. They think they're not smart. They make fun of the way they talk and say that because they have these accents, that they're not as smart as Northern people. Not true at all. But these are the prejudices and things that have come from this whole time, the Civil War. Okay. So they're not like hurting each other or anything because you're from the North or the South. So that is some of the healing that did happen. Okay. Some good things. All African Americans were released from slavery, sorta. It was illegal to have slaves, but they kind of said, hey, work the farm and I'll pay you, but then you have to pay me for your food and your place to live. So they were kind of never out of the debt that they owed, and so they could never like leave the plantation. It was kind of a funny thing, and they actually never didn't get same rights as white people. That doesn't happen until the civil rights movement in the 1960s, 100 years later, okay, before the African American people are granted the same rights as white people throughout the whole nation, and they have to fight for those rights. Okay, it's crazy. It's 100 years later, I think. So, in spite of all of this, God has throughout our history really blessed our land, our country. We have so many natural resources here that He has put here. He has brought forth leaders that were just, that loved the Lord, that followed Christ, and some leaders that haven't. He tells His people that we, as His people, as His followers, that we should be indeed praying for our leaders. So, are you praying for your leaders? Are you praying for President Trump and Governor Ige and Mayor Caldwell? Are you praying for your senators and your congressmen? If you're not, you should be. They need God's wisdom, and God can give wisdom even to people who don't believe in Him, because God is powerful and God answers the prayers of His people. So, are you praying for them? You should be if you are not. Our country, although blessed, is not perfect. No country is, because it's filled with sinful people who make bad choices, sinful choices. Even Christians aren't perfect. Remember, we've talked about this. The only person who's perfect is God and Jesus. That's it. All the rest of us make mistakes, do wrong things, have wrong thoughts. But God has still blessed us. God has sent revivals throughout our history. He sent the Great Awakening, the Second Great Awakening, the Jesus Movement, just to name 3 of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. He sent great preachers like Billy Graham, Greg Laurie, who have reached millions of people. Billy Graham went around the world preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. So he has blessed us with inventors. God made us in his own image. We are creative people. And a lot of great inventions were actually invented in the United States, okay, by people who were here, such as Samuel Morse with the telegraph, and John Deere with the steel plow. And there's just been a lot of really great inventions that helped people, helped mankind, and blessed God in their ability to bless other people and make their lives easier. Okay, checking my notes. All right. That is everything from my notes. Like I said, quick video today. It's like 11 minutes. So it's the last video. All right. And it's been great teaching you history. And I hope you enjoyed it. I know this isn't what I had in mind. And I will let you know about what's coming next. Again, please, you're going to be doing your workbook pages, you're going to be taking your test, and then there's going to be other things to come. All right? So, woo! Done with another subject. Can you believe it? All right. Have a fabulous day. And this is my last video to you. Okay? Bye-bye, guys. Well, in history. Yeah. Bye.